I'm gonna start early so I don't forget.
Good morning, good morning. We're gonna wait maybe a couple more minutes just to make sure everyone has an opportunity to join and logged on.
I'm sharing the note catcher in the chat along with a link to the slide deck so you can kind of get yourself situated. Again, the note catcher has all the links to all of the different resources that we will be referencing and using today. So it's kind of one-stop shop for you.
Okay. All right, Alex, I think we're ready to get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but May District Quality Improvement Team Training. We're so excited to see you on this Friday morning. Just a reminder, the topic today will be analyzing data. Just a couple of reminders to please rename yourselves, put the district that you are a part of. Remember to have your videos on. We would love to see your faces if possible. Use the chat. We will respond to your questions. So feel free to use the chat. Feel free to use reactions. And let's jump in. I think that's everything. So this is the overview for our session today. Section 1, we will talk about the collection and reflections. And again, if you're just joining, Alex has dropped in the note catcher, the slide deck. The note catcher has all of the resources that we'll be going over today, and the slide deck is what we'll be sharing with you. So again, Section 1 will be the collection and reflection. Section 2, we will talk about data analysis overview. Section 3, analyzing baseline data. And Section 4 is also analyzing baseline data. So we'll go a little bit deeper. Next slide.
Sorry, it should actually be analyzing survey data. So I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And it'll go a little bit deeper. It's fine. So the objectives today. By the end of this session, you will have reflected on the process of collecting baseline and survey data. They will go hand in hand. You will have reviewed the data analysis protocol. You will be prepared to analyze the baseline data using the data analysis protocol. And then you'll be prepared to analyze the survey data using the data analysis protocol. So we have protocols for you for both. So Section 1, let's talk about data collection reflections. We're going to put you in breakouts with your districts, and you're going to have about 3 minutes to reflect on the baseline data and the survey data, your survey data collection efforts. So we want you to specifically discuss what success did you experience in collecting the baseline and survey data, and then what challenges did you encounter in collecting the data. By the end of the 3 minutes, be prepared to come back to the whole group to share out success along with the lesson learned. So we're going to put you in breakout groups, and then we'll be back in 3 minutes.
And again, these are going to be district specific breakout rooms. So you'll be with your district peers. Just opened up the rooms. If you have any problems selecting into it, I just named them either Lytle or Temple. Let us know and we can drag you in. Otherwise, we will come back here at 9:08 or 9:09. Good morning. If you're just joining, we're having you go into breakout rooms to debrief with your district peers on the baseline data collection efforts as well as the survey data collection efforts. So we're just asking that you go into your district specific breakout room.
Can you send me to my breakout room?
Yep.
Where do I go to click on mine? There it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Wagner, are you able to see it for Lytle? Are you able to join your breakout room? Okay, I think so. Okay. Jennifer, I'm not sure what district you're in. Maybe she's having some technical issues because I see her twice now.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
You can come in, Matt, it's fine. We're Matt Jinky and I are with Lytle. He's with me. I'm just trying to get my
Okay.
computer to work. There we go.
Okay, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah,
We're gonna
and
move you to
can-
Orlando.
Yeah, yeah.
Good morning. Sorry I was late.
No problem. How are
Good
you?
morning.
It's been a busy Friday.
Been a busy week.
Alex, stop the recording.
Thanks.
Just want to open all of my.
Okay, welcome back. Thank you all for taking the time to chat amongst your groups. We would love to hear from both districts. We would love to hear a success along with the lesson learned during this process.
Okay, well, we'll start. We feel like we've had a pretty positive return with the teachers on filling this out. The lesson learned is I wish I had clicked the email recipient tab, so I could have gotten a list of the emails of the teachers that filled it out, but I did not click that. And that would have made things a lot easier for tracking because we're giving gift cards out and we're doing drawings on the campuses for the people that filled it out. So that's a lesson learned. Otherwise, I mean, I think our campuses did really good at sending out reminders, having the department heads send out reminders, and really making it an important thing for everyone to fill out. So, anything else?
Okay, Temple, thank you so much for sharing. Lytle, love to hear success along lesson learned.
So one of the successes that we discovered is we had an early release day on Wednesday. And so as a part of their professional development, the academic coaches gave them time to fill it out. So literally it was like hardly any since the email, and then boom, like every campus. One of the campuses definitely needed the extra reminder, but then after the reminder, we had a pretty good return on the surveys. And then we have an honor system going on for if they filled it out, they just did a little exit ticket and, said they filled it out, and their name will go into a raffle for a basket that the teacher researchers are giving me what items, like one's doing like kind of a spa day and another campus is doing like a movie kind of basket. So, but it was all on their honor. A challenge that we had was with the baseline survey. I'm still trying to collect a few of the things that I wasn't able to kind of capture. I got to get in touch with our HR director on that, but really it was a successful week. One campus, you could tell that, and they were still testing, still doing EOCs. So it was their return was a little bit less, but it really helped that we had that early release professional development day. Our principals helped, our academic coaches helped. So Now it's just getting a chance to look at everything after today.
Yeah. Awesome. That's awesome. And it's something that you can think about for the future, like, oh, let's see if we have a professional development day, if we have an early release day to maximize that time. So yeah, really good. Thank y'all both for
Kudos
sharing.
to all of you guys for doing that, especially during
Mm-hmm.
testing time. I know that isn't easy ask, so huge
Mhm.
kudos. I'm so happy to hear that and just hearing about the lessons learned. So
Mhm.
great.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's hop into data analysis overview. So in your note catcher is a link that it's going to take you to, I think it's called Baseline Data Analysis Protocol. This is what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to use the group participatory approach to analyze the data you have collected. The approach will assist not only with disseminating data, but also help you as a team begin to brainstorm next steps based on the data. This approach will also allow for expertise to be shared from all stakeholders by providing a platform for all voices. It will also build data culture and capacity for your district. So the next slide. So in the protocol, you'll see this is the protocol itself. So there are two parts to the protocol. The first part is step one, make factual observations. So if you're looking at the actual protocol, it'll say, it'll have what are the commonalities among the data, right? You have to make factual observations. And those observations are I see, I observe, I notice, based off of the data. And it's nothing that you're assuming. You're not making assumptions at this point. It's just all based off of what you observe from the data. And so the other one, the next question will say, what are the discrepancies among the data? And you say, I see, or I observe, or I notice based off of the data. You will do this in rows. So you'll do it, the first part will be rows 2 through 23. And then the next one will be rows 25 through 30. And then the next one will be rows 31 through 36. So they are clustered together for you to do observations. The second step is you will identify plausible causes for those rows. So based off the factual observations, then you'll say, why might this be happening? And this is when you give your ideas of why you think that this is happening. So Alex, can you pull up the actual protocol for us to see really quickly? I'm assuming everybody has eyes on it, but just wanting you to see it.
Switching my screen really quick.
And if not, I can, you're good, Alex? Okay, there we go. So again, just like I mentioned, you'll do this in rows, rows 2 through 23. The first part, step one, make factual observations. You're going to answer, what are the commonalities amongst the data? What are the discrepancies amongst the data? Is there anything you expected to see but did not? What questions do the data raise? And then anything other. The second step would be to identify plausible causes. And you will then use those, those words that we, those introductory words that we talked about, to then make plausible causes of like, why do you think this is happening with the data? And you can fill it in there. Why might this be happening?
And then
And
really
you'll do
quick,
that for all of the rows. Go ahead, Alex.
yep, I was just gonna say, and there is a separate protocol that starts for each chunk of data. So that when we have it by row, it's kind of chunked by the data that collectively makes sense. So the first one were teacher counts, looking at like what teachers or how many teachers are there by staffing counts. This next chunk of data is looking at retention rates. And then the last is looking at attendance. So looking at like average teacher attendance, average student attendance, what are the length of days. So they're chunked in a way that makes sense. Rather than looking at that full file, you're going to focus on specific rows, draw meaning from those, say, what do you notice factually from that? What are the insights from that? And then you'll move on to the second chunk of data. So it's really trying to further break down this big Google sheet of all these rows into smaller chunks that make sense, that then will work after this initial analysis and sense making to say, what does this mean collectively?
Okay, thanks for sharing that, Alex.
I'm gonna switch back.
So we wanted to give you a guide on how to do this logistically. We recommend doing this as a team in person to analyze the baseline data and the survey data by May 30th. So also in your note catcher is an agenda of a template of an agenda that you could use with the team as you are actually moving through this meeting. So we recommend having roles and responsibilities. So there's a lead who will facilitate the meeting and take notes throughout on the final data analysis protocol. And then participants are you, the team members. So prior to the meeting, everyone will review the data and take notes using the protocol and then come to the meeting prepared to share observations and insights. This will help it move quicker if you do pre-work before the meeting. And so, of course, you can tailor the agenda, whoever the lead is, you can tailor the agenda to your needs, but this is just a recommended or a guide of an agenda that you could use as you facilitate the meeting. But we really, really, really recommend or highly recommend that you do it in person and take at least 90 minutes to 2 hours to spend time together doing this collectively.
All right, so that was kind of going over, thank you, Latanya, the high level overview of like using the data analysis protocol. That's a tool that we use a lot at Maya, as well as I used it previously at my school district. And like Latanya shared, it's a really good way to get collective expertise and everyone involved in the data. And it makes you look at more granular levels of the data. And that's incredibly important when we're working to identify new strategies, new initiatives. So there may be some things that one person notices or calls out that another person doesn't. And then that leads to those really rich discussions. So in section 3, we're going to go through how you'll be actually analyzing the baseline data using that protocol, and then provide you with time to analyze your first chunk of data as a team. So first, we're going to work through an example to kind of show you what this looks like using fake data. If you've ever worked with our Maya data team, we love our Longhorn ISD. That's our fictional district, and we have Longhorn Elementary, Middle, and High School. We are going to work through both steps first by starting to identify the factual observations. As a reminder, the factual observations are undisputable facts. They don't rely on opinion or beliefs. So if you notice here, here's like the teacher count data, and then the factual observations that were noted by one individual. So first, at the district level, the largest proportion of teachers, 11 teachers or 36%, have 6 to 10 years of experience. This is just pulled directly from it. So it's the first round of sense making of the data, pulling straight what does it mean? Or what is the data factually showing? At Longhorn Elementary, the largest proportion of teachers, 8 or 66%, have between 1 and 10 years of experience. At Longhorn Middle, the largest proportion of teachers, 4 or 66%, have between 6 and 20 years of experience. And then at Longhorn High, the largest proportion of teachers, 3 or 37%, have between 6 and 10 years of experience. So again, you're working through and making sure that you are looking at factual statements. These shouldn't deviate much, but everyone's going to notice something different from the data. When we were going through the protocol earlier, you'll notice that there were those different probing questions to get you started of what are the commonalities? What are the discrepancies? What did you expect to see but didn't? Those are things to help you kind of like gear your eye towards it. Like when I'm just looking at this big chunk of numbers, there's not a lot looking out at me. But when I first start thinking like, oh, what are the commonalities? How does the district compare to the elementary versus middle versus high? Then I can pull factual statements from that and note those. Also on the protocol, it showed that you'll be first provided with individual time to review the data. And this is really important that you each are going through looking at the data yourself and being really intentional during this to dive deep into the data, even if it doesn't seem like a lot could come from this. Like these are just these counts. You'd be surprised at what conversations they result in. After that, working through individually as a group or individually, you'll come as a group and share out of, this is what I observed. What did you observe? Again, all of these have to be factual. We're not talking about any insights or beliefs yet. All right, so then this next step is when we bring in individual opinions and insights, and we're thinking about why is this actually happening? What could be causing it? So following the same process as you did in step one, you'll first work individually to identify plausible causes that you believe could stem from each factual observation that you observed. So I like to, when I'm doing this, I will write down like each factual statement, an arrow, why do I think this could be happening? What could be the cause of this? So really thinking linearly and making sure that you're identifying any gaps in that. Then you'll spend time as a group sharing out and discussing what was noticed. Again, these are opinions and can and actually should vary by individual because you all bring different experiences, expertise, your roles, lens. We want to have those different discussions because that's how you're going to identify strategies that actually are going to work. So examples of this are presented here. So if you look at that first observation was that the district, the largest proportion of teachers have 6 to 10 years of experience. A plausible cause that was noted was that Longhorn ISD had a hiring wave in 2017 and has had moderate turnover since. So that could be someone that maybe they're in HR and they remember that. They've been here for a while, but someone else may have not known that. If you look at some other ones, at Longhorn Elementary, the largest proportion of teachers have between 1 and 10 years of experience. So it's a little bit lower than the overall district average. But they also note that the elementary is a most common entry point into the district for new teachers or teachers earlier in their career. So that resonates. At Longhorn Middle, the largest proportion of teachers have slightly higher lengths of time, so 6 to 10 years of experience. And that could be that they noted that there's a really strong leadership and supportive culture at Longhorn Middle that's retaining these teachers, and they're not wanting to, once they get there, maybe they move from the elementary to the middle, or they just come in and they're staying there. And then at Longhorn High, they noted that the 6 to 10 years of experience, again, they're retaining teachers longer due to that specialization. So like those secondary certifications. So again, you would be taking note of all of these and they're gonna vary, which is important. All right, so now we're gonna have you do some practice analyzing this first chunk of data. So we're gonna have you open up the protocol, the baseline data protocol, as well as your baseline data. So we will give you a minute to do so before we break up into groups. And we're gonna have you first go through that first chunk of just count data. So it's rows 2 through 23. Also, we're asking that you take note on one collective protocol that will be submitted at the end. So you can either, if you are, as you're going through and taking notes, you can just take notes on like a spare piece of paper if you don't want to type on your computer. Again, we're just asking for at the end by May 30th to have one collective baseline data protocol submitted. But first, the whole process that we're going to have you go through is you'll spend 3 minutes individually reviewing the baseline data and noting those factual observations of what you see in rows 2 through 23, which are those teacher count or staffing count data. Resist jumping to the why. It's really hard to do, and it's gonna have to like switch the way you usually think, because I think usually we jump to why this is happening. resist that and only focus on what you're observing. Then you will spend 3 minutes as a group sharing out what you observed, and this will be as a district group. Then you'll go back and you'll spend 3 more minutes identifying any insights or why you think what you factually observed is happening. And then again, spend 3 minutes as a group sharing out what you think this or what insights you came up with. A couple of points before I answer any questions and set you out into your groups. This time is quick, and it's quicker than what is actually in our data analysis protocol and template meeting agenda. So we know that. So we're not expecting you to complete analyzing this chunk of data, but we want you to be able to practice this process. The goal of this is for your team to really practice doing these factual observations and then insights. So the goal isn't for you to leave with this, like this chunk of rows 2 through 23, this data is analyzed. It's really to practice this process. Also, we have in the meeting agenda very specific chunks of time. It's 5 minutes that you've allocated to review each chunk of data. And this is important for a couple of reasons. This really keeps the discussion focused and efficient. I think a lot of times when we have data meetings, they lead to tangents and we don't leave with actual next steps. Keeping it really timely and saying like, we have 5 minutes, set my clock, and then when the timer goes off, we go into group discussion is a really good way to make sure that everyone is staying on task, and it leads to more fruitful conversation, even though it seems like it wouldn't because you're more timely. Make sure everyone is on that same time frame and staying focused. Before we jump into this, does anyone have any questions on what you will be asked to do? No, so we will open up the breakout rooms. And again, we just ask that you review again rows 2 through 23 of the baseline data, your template. I do have temples that I can share with you if you all don't have access. I didn't have Lidls, but if you can just make sure that everyone has access to that document, and then everyone, again, you can either fill out the protocol itself or just take notes and then be prepared to share out what you noted with the lead during the discussion. And then we just ask the lead to take notes on your protocol. All right, well, I am going to open up rooms. If you have any questions, just ping us. Otherwise, we will come back together in, trying to find the time, and we'll do 14 minutes. So we'll be back together at 9 or 9:44.
Alex, did you stop the recording?
All right, welcome back. Looks like everyone is back. Again, just as a reminder, the goal of that was to get you learning the process and what that will look like, not being able to complete that first chunk of analysis, but just want to ask how that first process went. How do you think that it felt for your team?
I can go first for Lytle. great to have some conversation around it first. We noticed some commonalities regarding our percentages of staff that are in the 1 to 5 range and the 11 to 20 range. And so that brought up some discussion and conversation about that. But our biggest and largest conversation was the discrepancy in the number of special education teachers for the ratio of our students. So we know this, but it helped it come off the page for us, and in some things that we're already going to be addressing for next year. So I was definitely going to have Ms. Wagner talk a little bit about that, but obviously retention is an area that we need to consider, as well as like how many of our special education teachers we need to retain and get more of. So Ms. Wagner, do you want to add to our discussion on that? And then we'll let Temple share.
Yes, so we've experienced quite a bit of growth in our special education program, about 20 to 25% growth actually just this school year, either with referrals or transfer students. And we recently did a staffing analysis using the Region 20's template, and what it showed is we actually need 2 more teachers at the junior high and the high school to cover the students that we serve. And then our elementary, it's not part of the study, they do have the correct amount of teachers. And then at the primary, we have enough teachers, probably need a little bit more paraprofessional support. So overall, our staffing needs are a concern right now. And even when we did have some of those positions posted, it took us till January to fill those positions. So we would have been at 2 actually on both junior high and high school, not having life skills teachers until January.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And I love that like you were able to connect what you're seeing in the data to what's happening and like what was previously identified in additional efforts. Temple, how did the process feel for you guys?
Okay, so these numbers are based on the teachers that actually filled out the survey, right? Not the total number of staff.
This is the total number of staff, the baseline data, yes.
Okay, so that's why there's decimals, like 16.5 teachers or whatever, because
Yeah.
Okay. So we weren't questioning that.
Okay.
We talked about the fact of our 0 to 5 year teachers, that we have quite a large number of those. We discussed the caseload size, that it's fairly larger than we expected, especially at Bonham. And the low percentage of experienced teachers. So I talked about our ESL teacher and how that it doesn't seem like we have a sufficient number of ESL teachers to cover the amount of ESL students that we have. So that kind of popped out also.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, so this first round of practice was just of the baseline data. So this data is what we're going to be able to use. We collected it, or you all collected it to serve as a baseline, and then we'll be able to collect that same data again and compare it after you've identified and implemented your initiative. So this wouldn't be until next year, but then you'll be able to compare and say, this is where we were at in terms of staffing, in terms of retention rates. And then this is where we're at after 1 year. This is where we're at after 2 years. So it'll give you that longitudinal analysis, but analyzing that baseline data is important to get an understanding of what the foundation is. All right, so now we're going to jump in and talk about analyzing the survey data. So first, really great news. We are going to clean and synthesize the data for you. So you don't have to go through and do all of that nitty-gritty work. When your survey window is complete, or if it already is closed, let us know. Or just email us, and then we'll have your survey data cleaned, and then that first round of synthesis done. It should be within 5 business days. If something comes up, we're not able to, for that to happen, we'll let you know, but that should be more than doable. From us, what you'll receive is a cleaned survey data file with the original data as well as a tab for each role. So you'll have one that says original data, and then you'll have one for teacher, student teacher if applicable, teacher aide, parapro, campus admin, and district admin. On those tabs, it'll be the cleaned data with only the questions that those individuals were asked. You'll also receive a staff survey analysis sheet, and this will be the synthesis that you will work from to analyze the data. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of show you what that sheet looks like to give you an idea of what you will be receiving and how you will be working from this to analyze the data. So this is, in addition to the clean survey data, the sheet that you'll receive. How it will be organized is there'll be a summary tab, a teacher tab, student teacher tab, a tab for each of the role groups. So if you didn't have student teachers, you wouldn't have a student teacher tab. But this will present the individual data. There'll also be a qualitative data tab that will present all of that qualitative data of those open-ended questions. I'll go into these before I show you that summary page, because the summary page is where you'll be working from. Where we will be working and entering the data is anywhere where you see a yellow highlight. So we will be going through and doing the first round of synthesis of the data and be able to say, like, for the teachers, these are the number of surveys that were completed by campus. These were the surveys completed by position, by grade. And then when we enter this, it'll all summarize into the summary tab for you. I want to highlight this little tab up front, or this key, and it's how the data is kind of being organized. So there's completion counts, and that's really looking at the surveys that were completed to better understand who completed the survey. Then there's time allocation data, so any questions related to time allocation. And then there's work-life balance and satisfaction related questions. So if you want to look at more of like the granular, like role specific data, you'll be able to click through here. But what you'll be really working from as a team is this summary tab. So this tab is pulling from all of these different role group tabs to present the data collectively. So this will show the total number of surveys completed by campus for all of the different roles. Then it'll show by position along with percentage. This tab, I will say, is very long, but again, we have broken it up for you and how you'll analyze it. Again, you'll notice the color coding to show that the orange is completion rates, green is time allocation questions, and then that blue is work-life balance and satisfaction. I'm going to go through how we have grouped the data in a minute, but I just wanted you to see how all of this is organized. If there are certain questions that only certain roles were asked, that's indicated. So for example, surveys completed by special populations, this question was only asked of teacher aide or parapros, so that's indicated here. Some of the questions were asked by a couple different groups. For instance, surveys completed by years in the profession was asked by teachers and teacher aide parapros. So you can see that collectively. I'm going to go down and show you when we switch to time allocation. So time allocation by activity. What this data is going to be summarized, and it'll present as the number of teachers who indicated that they completed this activity weekly, the average number of minutes spent on that activity, the minimum number of minutes, and then the maximum. Again, this was only reported by teachers. But then when we go down to this very lofty table, you'll notice that there's different roles in here. So teachers, campus administrators, and district administrators were asked on the survey to indicate whether they feel that teachers spend too little, too much, or about the right amount of time on all of these different activities. So this table is going to show the number, the counts that indicated that, as well as the percentage. These will also be color coded, so you'll be able to kind of quickly look at and see, like, where's the red, where's the green, who indicated at higher levels. And this will be important because you can look at maybe teachers feel as though that they are spending a ton of time on planning and prep, like far too much, but campus admin and district admin think that they're spending about the right amount of time, then that would be a discrepancy we would want to highlight. So I just wanted to highlight that to show you how this data is being synthesized from all of the different role groups into this summary sheet for you. So I'm going to switch back. This is kind of what I was just talking about, but want to just highlight it's also covered in this slide is the survey data groupings. So this is how you'll actually analyze the survey data. There's a specific survey data analysis protocol. It looks exactly like the baseline one. It's just organized by these survey data groups. It'll have on there the name of the group, the survey questions included. And then the rows too. So you'll be able to look specifically on it. Also, when you get your analysis document from us, it'll have that indicated for you. So as I said, like time allocation throughout the whole school year is the amount of time that teachers spend on the activities too little, too much, or about right. The role groups included in this are teachers, campus admin, and district admin. This is just, again, showing the different groups. The other groups are work outside of school, student teacher, teacher aide, and parapro roles, teacher work-life balance, teacher workload, teacher satisfaction, and then we have the two qualitative data open-ended questions that we're asking about teachers' challenges, and then suggestions for improvement related to time allocation. And that is was asked of all of the different role groups. So again, it's a lot of data that you'll be analyzing it, but you'll be doing it in chunks, working through that data analysis protocol. We wanted to give you a couple minutes to be able to plan out what this looked like, but we are running out of time. So I want to go through kind of the next steps, and then we'll end maybe a minute or two early, and you all can spend time to kind of think about what this analysis process will look like for you. What we really wanted you to think about is the logistics of it, of when are you going to be able to analyze this data, knowing that we really want you to be doing it collaboratively and in person. Will you analyze the baseline and survey data at the same time? The baseline data, we anticipate taking maybe 40 minutes, and that's what that template meeting agenda gives. But the survey data, because there's so much of it, it'll probably take around 80 minutes. And then also identifying who will lead the meeting. And then also by leading, you would be in charge of collecting all of the discussions on that one data analysis protocol that will be the deliverable that will be submitted. So the end product for this work will be a baseline data analysis protocol that you'll upload to the hub, as well as a survey data analysis protocol. So two different protocols. As for what is coming up, just an FYI for these first 3 line items of what the teacher researchers are working on. They are currently observing different planning time and potentially instructional time if that was indicated as a need. They're also collecting the teacher time diaries. And then from May 15th through May 30th, they will be working on the analysis of that time data. Then you have until the end of May to be working on the survey and baseline data analysis. Again, that end deliverable is submitting right down here, the baseline data analysis protocol, the survey data analysis protocol. On May 15th or 16th, we have your next coaching call. And that's when we'll kind of talk through how this process is going. What questions do you have? How's your team feeling through the process? So for your specific next steps, we're first asking that you check in with the teacher researchers to see if they need any assistance in conducting the observations or administering the teacher time diaries. Then we're asking that you analyze the baseline data using the data analysis protocol. Don't forget to email myself and LaTanya when your survey window has closed. We'll start working on that right away so we can get you that data within 5 business days. Then once you receive that, you'll use again the survey data analysis protocol to analyze that data. And then by May 30th, just upload those 2 protocols to the information hub. That concludes our session today of going over how you will be analyzing the baseline and survey data. As always, all of this information plus the recording will be uploaded to the Information Hub. All of the materials are already there. The recording will be there by the end of the day. We also are asking that you please complete the exit ticket that just gives us a heads up of how you felt today's session went, if you're feeling more prepared to begin analyzing the data, and helps us make improvements in our trainings moving forward. Otherwise, I'm sorry that we're only giving you back 2 minutes, but if you have time, you can talk about the logistics of your data analysis as a team. Otherwise, we hope you all have a great weekend and appreciate all of your time.
Hey, real quick, is the exit ticket on the note catcher? Oh, never mind. You
Yep, and I just shared
we're
it
at the
in
same
chat
time.
as
All
well.
right, thank you.
Yep,
Okay, are you putting us in a breakout room for the last 2 minutes or not?
I can, if that would be helpful, I can just open those up for you.
Okay.
Hey, Alex, I'm so sorry. My internet completely shut down. My phone